Welcome to ASU Football Insider. I'm Kyle Simmons. I'm joined by Arizona State legend and former NFL running back J.R. Redmond, and the host of the ASAP Elite podcast, Rob Penn.
Yo, what's going on,
tonight, guys?
Pretty good, brother.
Good.
Such a pleasure.
Solid.
The Sun Devils lost to number 6 ranked USC 42-25 at the LA Coliseum. Emory Jones went 23 of 32 for 243 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And running back Xavier Valade had 64 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. We'll start with JR. What was your assessment of Saturday's performance versus USC?
Actually, the first half, I think we played some decent football. My hat's off to Emory Jones. I think he's had some solid games. It's hard to throw the ball downfield when you don't have time. This week, though, the offensive line was able to give him some time. And, he's able to pitch the ball around. He does a really good job with the ball. He's not careless with it. I think, the running game is what it is, which is, that's the best aspect of our game right now. Is handing the ball off. Both the running backs are very good, more than adequate. We got good backs, and I've said that before, and I think we definitely got to lean on our backs, but also mix it up in the passing game and make sure that we have some short passing game, not such long developing plays with knowing how that line is held up to this point. But again, they did pretty good the first half of the game.
Rob, what do you think of Saturday's game versus USC?
Hey, from what I saw, styles make fights. A lot of these kids are from that Southern California area, and we were able to give blows and take blows at the beginning. The defense held up pretty good. Kyle Simmons did his thing, leading that defense. Hey, man, I was proud to be a Sun Devil fan last week. We came out. He had time, just like JR alluded to, and like I said, I got to give it up to Valade, man. He's been pretty consistent throughout the whole season, man. That was a great acquisition through the transfer portal. He reminds me of that type of player that fits the mold of, like I said, J.R. Redmond. And that really gives us a chance to be, to not be one-dimensional. Like J.R. said, we have it. Nada ran good also, and we also have a couple receivers that stepped up in that game. So, yeah, man, I was happy the way that we performed, the way that we fought. When it'll give us a little bit of momentum moving forward.
Now, JR, I want to ask you a point that Rob just brought up. You're from SoCal, and you played at Arizona State. So what was it like, the experience of going back home to play against USC in the LA Coliseum? You got any memories of that?
Yeah, definitely. My first memory would be walking out of the stadium or walking into the stadium. Just happy to be in a Coliseum. Growing up 10 minutes down the street in Carson, California, literally 10, 15 minutes down the 110 freeway. Grew up watching the Raiders, right? Playing the Coliseum, watching, Rodney Peete playing the Coliseum. You know what I mean? Guys like that. So, yeah, right? Bo Jackson, all of these guys, Tim Browns, right? Returning punts. All these guys, I grew up watching them in the Coliseum. So for me, it was just like an ultimate place to play. Just getting an opportunity to go out there. And I remember going out there, I might have had almost a whole section, at least 50 to 60 people was at the game. So I had my session was thick. And, hey, I'm about to act a donkey. I bet my whole per diem.
Yeah.
We about to get it in. Yeah, we had a ball. Had fun. It's not like playing at home, playing in front of your friends, playing in front of your family, getting an opportunity to play against a school that possibly you wanted to go to, right? And maybe you was recruited by. But one way, for one reason or another, you end up somewhere else, and when you get a chance to go home, you show up and you show out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to piggyback that. JR, when you came to Arizona State, when did the game slow down from you, from going to high school into college and knowing that you were a player in that, ultimately, a big part of their dynamic?
Okay, so Going into my freshman year, the game wasn't fast for me in regards to speed. But it did take some time for me to learn the system, learn the playbook, understanding, blocking schemes, how plays work, how they develop, having patience. I think my first couple of years, every time I got the ball was like punt return. It didn't matter that it was a handoff. It was punt return. The whole field was wide open and I would run anywhere, and that was just not always understanding how plays were designed. But once I kind of understood how the plays were designed, how the blocking schemes were, knowing the flow of the defense that they were in, and how the defense fits, where people were supposed to be, it was a lot easier for me to pick my spots.
All right, so next up, the Sun Devils are hosting number 21 Washington at Sun Devil Stadium. Washington has a 4-1 overall record with a 1-1 Pac-12 record. Rob, what do the Devils need to do to get the victory this Saturday?
Well, this Saturday they face an opponent that's similar to that Utah team, but they have a better quarterback. Washington does. I remember watching Michael Penix a couple years ago during the COVID season, with Indiana, and how he led that team, man, to be a national powerhouse. But last week, like I said, that UCLA team really, outlasted them. But Washington appears to be a big dog, and maybe a top 10 program in the country right now with that quarterback. Arizona State is going to have to follow the same game plan that they did last week against USC, pretty much. But I really can't honestly say that they will be able to keep up with the Huskies, man. I think that's going to be a runaway. It's a 1:00 game also. Last year, when JR's team was being honored, we got a chance to check out Washington State. And this Washington team is built similar to that team. So hopefully, man, it comes down to the coaches and the play calling and the adjustments, which hasn't been, the best start of the season. But I'm looking forward to them to build up that momentum from last week and carry that into next week's game. Get Validate on that outside, because that's when he's most dangerous. And hopefully our quarterback Emery can sit back and hit some of these open targets, man, because a couple of them sailed on him over the last few weeks. Even though he's been rather consistent, hopefully he can start hitting some of those crossing patterns and really take advantage of that cover 3 that the Huskies have.
JR, what should be the main focus of the team going into this game versus Washington?
Running the ball. That should be the main focus, running the ball. And the reason why I say that is because there's nothing more defeating than when a running back gets going. And when you have a pair of running backs, double trouble, right? It wears down the defense. Now it sets up big plays. It sets up play action, right? Being able to get that deep post, be able to get that in cut, right? To be able to get chunks of yardage. I mean, if they run the ball and then they're effective, in which they will be effective if they hand the ball off to number 1 and occasionally get it to number 4, these guys are the strength of the team. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to go into a fight, I want to use my power hand and my power foot to kick and punch. So I think running the ball is going to be essential to getting anything developed offensively.
Hey, JR, this is for you. Being a Super Bowl winning back and experiencing every type of scenario that you could, in football. One thing that we haven't been able to do is get off the field 3rd down. So if we're, trying to lean heavy on that run and try to establish that dominance on in the front, on the front seven, but we're not getting anywhere, what do we do then?
So you're saying in the event that we try to establish the run and we get stymied, what do we do then? Yep. Is that the question? I understand it right? Yep. Well, I think you're going to have to go to the short passing game. Again, that the line is still trying to solidify itself and still trying to come together as a unit. So I would kind of stay away from the longer, deeper, long developing plays that tend to get them in trouble or tend to get him off the spot, scrambling, trying to figure it out. I would really go to a short passing game. I would do a lot of screens, draws, screens to the backs, multiple screens to receivers, right? Inside receiver, outside receiver, right? Set up the offense and the players with plays that are big plays, easy plays. There's no such thing as an easy play, but if a play is ran right and effectively, it becomes an easy play. It's like a home run play. Plays that's hard to stop, right? So I think they have those type of things in their arsenal. They just got to call them.
So, JR, I got to ask you now.
Okay.
Do you have any memories of playing Washington?
Oh yeah, definitely. I got some good memories about playing Washington and SC. Against Washington, I love the big games, love the big Pac-10 games, right? Washington has always been a competitive school and always had great athletes. Not only that, they've always had a lot of Southern California athletes on their team. Mm-hmm. Always, right? And then SC, let me tell you something. I used to look forward to playing USC because not only was I going to be playing in front of my family, but being a Southern California kid and growing up here, I wanted to go to USC. Yeah. Right? I wanted to go to USC, so things didn't work out for one reason or another, and I ended up not going there. So I definitely took it personal every time I got a chance to play them. And in the Coliseum, I put up 350 yards one game and 248 the next game. Yeah, I used to have a field day against USC. So I don't understand what be going on right now.
Hey man, just to hear, like I say, my favorite Sun Devil of all time, talk about things that I actually saw. Before I had the blessing, that's what I call it, to sit here and actually ask you the questions and relive them with you, man. That's amazing, man. I like do this all day.
Good stuff.
Oh, I got one better for you. My freshman year, right? They had Washington had a linebacker, Ink Aliaga. Shout out to Ink. Really good linebacker. I believe he wore number 54. So, when I came in the spring of 96. And I was, dibble-dabbling on both sides of the ball as far as playing safety and playing running back. And during the game, Jake had threw an interception. And then I just thought, here's my chance to show him I can play safety. I'm about to go and get the ball back. So I'm running across the field full speed, not realizing and forgetting that it's nothing but D linemen and linebackers behind me. So as I'm running across the field, thinking I'm going to make the tackle, and I'm turning, man, I get hit so hard. Welcome to college football. Okay, so now this is the thing about that hit. I got hit, and I was like, oh, God. I was looking, and next thing I know, I said, that's the lights of the stadium. There go my feet. Why I see my feet in the lights? Man, this dude hit me so hard, I was like upside down, looking at the lights, but I could see my feet dangling in the air. And when I fell, I fell on the back plate of my number first. My name. That's what hit the ground first. So I folded like that new phone Galaxy got out. And when I tell you that, man, my body hurt so bad. I had never been hit that hard up until that point. It's the hardest hit I've taken. In high school, I was hitting everybody. Wasn't nobody hitting me. So, yeah, needless to say, the only thing I could think of is, the homies gonna see this. I get up and try and run off the field. The play's still going.
Yeah.
I can't even. I'm trying to run off the field. Oh, man, the homies gonna see this at the house. So, yeah.
Hey, can you find that for us? Can we get that?
Yeah. You're going to have to get that offense and defensive copy that you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's vicious. The way he hit me and my feet swing around, I'm all upside down. This is a vicious hit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I got a couple of those. You don't know it till it's over. You know you just got.
Man.
Oh, God. Yep.
So now we're going to go to Juan Roche with his keys to the game.
What's up, everybody? This is the Mexican Menace, Juan Roche, with your keys to the game. What are these keys? Well, what do we have going on this weekend in Tempe? We have two teams that are looking for an identity. UW's 4-1. They got housebroken last week against UCLA. in LA. They got the brakes beat off of them. The score was not indicative of what happened on the field. Contrarily, in LA, ASU had a heartbreaking night against USC. The Devils were in it. They had their opportunities, but sadly, Caleb Williams was just a little bit too much for the Devils. So both teams had a bad night in LA. Again, UW stands at 4-1. ASU stands at 1-4. You would think that they're opposite polar ends and that this game is not going to be competitive, but I beg to differ on that one. There's a lot to be excited about when you look at ASU's improvements and the things that they've done. One of these teams is going to have a bad night in Tempe. Now, what will it take for ASU to not be the team that's going to have the bad night? Well, first of all, it's the first quarter. ASU has to establish themselves immediately, and they got to be productive on their first series, especially if they get the opening kickoff. You got to get down there. You got to score points. And not only on the first series, but probably on the first few series. You cannot get behind on UW. And on that note, defensively, what ASU needs to do, you got to pressure Penix. Penix is the poor man's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a stud. We saw him last week. The kid is a competitor. He won't go down. Penix is just as good in a lot of ways. He can find the open receivers. He can run. He can read a defense. But UCLA flustered him. They got to him. They pressured him. Donnie Henderson and that band of Devils on defense, they need to find a way to pressure him with the blitz. They were able to do that to Caleb Williams. They were at him and in his face several times. They got to do the same thing this week. They got to get some sacks. They got to force the punts. They got to force those third and longs. Now, finally, the last key to victory is the X factor. You got to feed Xavier Valade in this game. You got to get him running between the tackles. UW gave up more than 5 yards rushing per carry last week. UCLA was able to get their Charbonnet. They were able to get him established. ASU needs to do the same thing. They got to get those 5 big uglies up on the offensive line, blocking, getting those Huskies off the ball, off the line of scrimmage, giving that ball to Xavier, giving it to Daniel Ngata, move the sticks, keep munching that clock, and again, score points. That's keys. It's going to be a great night in Tempe. We're hoping the Devils find a way to get that W. It's going to be a great game. Forks up. Go Devils.
That's all for this week. Come back next week where we preview the game versus Stanford. Also, you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. For JR Redmond, Juan Roche, and Rob Penn, I'm Kyle Simmons. This is ASU Football Insider.
Forks up.
Forks
Peace.
Up.